Today's episode is brought to you by the Brandon Tenold Kaiju Critic t-shirt. It's the shirt that lets people know that you're a fan of monster movies and snarky Canadians who talk about them on the internet. And if you'd like this design in a hoodie, guess what? We've got those too. You can pick up yours today at teespring.com/kaijucritic. Today's movie is a special request from Patreon supporter Ricardo Silkworth, who asked me to review the movie R.O.T.O.R. And this one's gotten a bit of a reputation in the last few years as a best-worst kind of movie. I mean, it's not as infamous as something like The Room or Troll 2, but it is roughly on par with stuff like Deadly Prey and Robo-Vampire. But is this a so bad it's good type of movie, or just one of the worst movies ever made? You know what, I'm just gonna answer that question right now. As somebody who's seen War of the Robots, this is not one of the worst movies ever made. Thank God. R.O.T.O.R is a 1987 sci-fi movie that's usually considered an attempt to cash in on the movie Robocop. Although, considering it was released just a few months after Robocop, if it is a cash-in, the filmmakers definitely get points for speed. It's also sometimes called a knockoff of The Terminator, although judging by the movie's poster, it looks more like a knockoff of Mad Max. The plot is about a police robot that malfunctions and goes on a killing spree, so really, it's like if The Terminator and Robocop were one movie. I guess that means this is the closest we'll ever get to a movie adaptation of that Super Nintendo game. Alright, that's enough backstory, so let's dive right into R.O.T.O.R. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant Blue Steel. Don't you just love it when a movie's cover and its opening credits can't agree on what it's actually called? There is one good thing about these opening credits, Carol Baker's middle name. Oh hey, so this was Sean Brown's first movie. If you don't know who Sean Brown is, he was also the set decorator on a show called Spunky Airlines, and yeah. This is what he did before that. Well, at least Michael Hunter has a few other movies to his credit, including being in Robocop? How the hell do you go from being in one movie to its knockoff in just a few months? Also, if he was in Robocop first, then how the hell is this movie his introduction? It's a little tasteless to show off the movie's toy line in the actual movie, isn't it? At least they also include today's headlines, which are murder, rape, robbery, and arson. Damn, sounds like somebody had a bad day. There's only one solution to this crime wave, Blue Steel, R.O.T.O.R, which stands for Robotic Officer... Robocop, basically. So the movie's set in Dallas, which using Robocop logic means it was probably filmed in Detroit. The opening text told us about a crime wave sweeping the city, so naturally, we begin in the middle of the woods.
I hope I brought enough food for this weekend. I'm really looking forward to relaxing on the lake.
I'm not worried. You always bring enough food for an army.
I get replacing police officers with robots, but did they have to replace the actors with robots too? These two run into a guy who looks like he just survived a Looney Tunes dynamite explosion, and they must have been staring at him a long time since it's night by the time they actually try to help him.
Call 911.
You bet. Call him. This old boy just killed a motorcycle cop. I seen him.
Oh yeah? Did he steal your real voice, too? Fun fact, in the Dallas Police Department, it's actually illegal not to wear a cowboy hat. So who the hell is this guy, anyway?
My name is Cold Iron. Barrett Cold Iron.
Yeah, nice try, pal, but both your name and hair are no match for Zap Rousdower. Cold Iron tells us he's a captain of the Dallas Police Department who's also in charge of a project to make a robot policeman, although I'm not sure about his voiceover technique.
My objective was pure enough. To make the streets of the city a little safer. Maybe it can be done. Just maybe.
Hey, quit being a backseat narrator. I see they're about to interrogate Cold Iron using the good cop, sexy librarian method. Personally, though, I wouldn't trust a word that comes out of this guy's mouth.
For the record, or about 12 other high-crotched federales perched behind a two-way mirror.
Mainly because they're clearly dubbed by another actor. Cold Iron fills the police in on what happened. You must have one hell of a story to tell. No one will be seated during the thrilling Mr.Coffee scene. And if you thought the dubbing on the actors was weird, get a load of this soundtrack.
Here I
Is this the beginning of a sci-fi action movie or a delightful comedic romp? Hey sweetie, I made you some coffee. I didn't hear you get out of bed this morning. I'm actually okay with the weird dubbing and soundtrack, mainly because the biggest problem with this movie is including an assload of filler.
Clearing these stumps for pasture land has always been a chore. In the past, I've always used nitro or dynamite, but this new primer cord explosive lets me practice my roping at the same time it blows the stumps away.
Okay, I just want to point out, this is all supposed to be Cold Iron telling the cops what happened to him. Listen, Cold Iron, we appreciate you cooperating, but you don't need to tell us every little detail of your morning routine. I mean, you already wasted 10 minutes telling us about your morning shit. Could you pick up the pace a little here? Oh, thought we were done with the filler? We still haven't seen him drive to work yet. Oh boy, everything about this scene makes me think he's gonna run into John Michael Thor headed the other way in an RV. Eventually he does get to work, which is a high-tech police lab where they develop cutting-edge technology. Why, they've even managed to create a robot capable of saying Happy Birthday Polly.
Wheat jam and desiccated liver, sir? What for?
For my handball game, son.
Well, this police robot still looks like he'd be more effective than those mall security bots. They just need to work on his attitude programming.
I got your handball game right here, pal. Say, baby, why don't you hit me with those 7 digits? Okay, you gonna finish those fries?
Why does it feel like he should be in a theater riffing this movie with me? Cold Iron's here to give a presentation on his newest creation, because who wouldn't be interested in a police robot from somebody who looks like they have their own barbecue sauce line?
We scientists are like degreed science fiction writers. We're all prognosticators of the future.
And in the future, everyone will dress like a 70s porn star. Cold Iron shows the board a film of R.O.T.O.R, which kinda looks like one of the rejected police robots from Robocop 2. Alright, let's see what R.O.T.O.R can do.
The metal itself can learn, remember, and teach itself. It doesn't need motors, gears, and tubes.
But we decided to put those things in anyway, just for the hell of it. After the presentation, Cold Iron gets a call from his boss, and something tells me Cold Iron doesn't have a great relationship with him.
The man hadn't had a decent bowel movement in a week. Man was 39 years old before he discovered gravy wasn't a beverage.
Hey, gravy is the official state beverage of Texas. Here's another similarity this movie has with Rock and Roll Nightmare. They both have Coca-Cola product placement. Seriously, is John Michael Thor playing the police bot? Cold Iron's boss demands that they rush R.O.T.O.R into production despite it not being ready yet, because... I don't know, OCP demands it, I guess? Cold Iron is understandably upset about this. They rushed the prototype and look how that turned out.
I'm pulling your plug. You're off the project as of right now.
You fire me and I'll make more noise than 2 skeletons making love in a tin coffin, brother.
Ugh, why do I get the feeling that's a real porn genre? Cold Iron pulls the whole "you can't fire me, I quit" routine, and even Officer Prince Valiant here can't believe he's leaving. Oh well, now that he's got the day off work, Cold Iron can call his girlfriend and take her out to lunch. And you know what that means. More filler.
Leaving us one place left to go. Whoa. We got to find our hideaway. Love away into the night. It's on what we know can't survive. For everything that used to be.
Once again, I just want to point out that Cold Iron is supposedly telling all of this to the cops right now. After the main course, we decided to order another bottle of wine. Damn it, Cold Iron, we don't need to hear about your dinner with your girlfriend. Hurry up and get to the part where you have sex already. I don't know if it's a good idea to rush R.O.T.O.R into production. That's how you ended up with this other police bot.
What do you say?
Yeah, cool. I guess, as long as there's no current in the chain, it's okay, but... man, keep this room locked until we get back.
And how is the robot the best actor in this movie?
What do you think this is? Some low-budget sci-fi flick?
Yeah, be as meta as you want, movie. I'm still gonna make jokes. Especially when you have staff members like this.
Say, baby, slide me them 7 digits.
Oh, gross. Quit it. Go somewhere else.
Another pale face grinding his heel in the poor Indian's face.
I don't know if having the cast of an 80s teen sex comedy making robots is a great idea.
Look at these cheekbones, baby. Either I'm an Indian or I'm a sissy. And well, since I must be an Indian.
No, I think you're just a douchebag. Shoe Boogie's Walkman causes some kind of malfunction which activates R.O.T.O.R. Hey, makes about as much sense as hooking a Barbie up to a computer and making a genie.
Looks cool as blue steel to me.
Okay, I would say title drop, but the movie's supposed to be called R.O.T.O.R, damn it! And then, my girlfriend and I went home after getting groceries. We got cucumber, steak, Triscuits. You already told us what you got. Quit stalling and move on already. Cold Iron ends up stopping some thugs from robbing a gas station. Not really sure what this has to do with the rest of the movie, but hey, at least we're finally getting some action and not just watching him fill up his vehicle in real time. Besides, turns out he didn't even need to do anything. In the 80s, even innocent bystanders were action heroes. Hey, sweetie, sorry I'm late for dinner. I think I wandered into another movie.
Don't you know you done the right thing? But you ain't no street cop, are you? Don't you go back to your nice little laboratory and stay there?
Yeah, Cold Iron's clearly more of a pencil-pushing scientist, and not a cold-as-ice police officer who effortlessly guns people down. And are we ever gonna see R.O.T.O.R in this movie?
What's going on?
I'll tell you what's going on. We're halfway through the movie and R.O.T.O.R isn't even up yet. I'm beginning to see why your boss told you to rush things. Eventually, R.O.T.O.R does decide to get his ass out of bed, and he looks less like Robocop and more like my Uncle Bob auditioning to be a cop stripper. My god, R.O.T.O.R has the strength to open double doors! What the hell have we created? At least R.O.T.O.R is using a motorcycle and not a jetpack, which makes this movie less silly than Robocop 3. Looks like you two really screwed up.
Yeah, I got the feeling this is how Terminator got started.
Hey, quit referencing stuff you're cashing in on. That's my job. Well, we already got our stand-in Robocop. Might as well have a stand-in Miguel Ferrer. And did somebody say filler?
All you've ever done is go to school.
What are you saying? Just because I'm getting married, my life is over before it even starts?
Of course not, Sony. Hey, I mean, it's just embarrassing for a guy to have his wife work.
I guess, if it was 30 years before this movie was made. And then, this couple proceeded to argue about their wedding for several minutes. I'm not really sure how I know all this, but I figured I should tell you. For God's sakes, Cold Iron, just get to the killer robot already! R.O.T.O.R chases after them for speeding, although their real crime is wasting screen time with their relationship bullshit.
I'm willing to bet you, $20 that you're gonna give me a ticket.
Ooh, the penalty for bribing a police officer in Texas is death. Before that, he was just gonna break your legs. We learn that R.O.T.O.R is sensitive to noise when this lady honks her horn, and if you're wondering why the motorcycle engine and gunshots don't bother him... Oh well, at least that lets this woman escape.
This can't be right. I gotta talk. I gotta talk. I gotta talk this thing over.
Well, now you deserve to die for being stupid. Damn, leaning down. R.O.T.O.R's one weakness! Other than the horn thing, I guess. And don't worry about your boyfriend, he's fine. See? He's still breathing. So after my girlfriend gave me a beej on the couch, I decided to order a pizza. Would you like me to skip this part? Nah, that's okay, you can keep going. I will give this to R.O.T.O.R, he's definitely persistent. Nobody gets out of a speeding ticket on his watch. Meanwhile, not only does Cold Iron discover that R.O.T.O.R's been activated, but he also can't get King's Quest to boot up. You better tell people about this.
This is Captain Cold Iron, calling Detective Mango, priority.
Okay, I just want to say, Cold Iron and Mango sounds like the name of a great 80s buddy cop movie. Almost as good as Shaft and Mime Cop. And in case you didn't know, this movie's also influenced by The Terminator.
It wasn't ready. Its brain functions are incomplete. It can't think twice, can't reason.
And it absolutely will not stop. Ever. Until you are dead.
Actually, that's an appropriate description since R.O.T.O.R's apparently still after this woman for speeding. There are enemies in video games that aren't this single-minded and relentless. Unfortunately for this guy, it's also illegal to use chiclets as dentures in Texas. Now at this point you may have noticed that the tone in this movie is a little inconsistent. That's because it was originally intended to be much more comedic, but director Cullen Blaine heavily rewrote the script, removing much of the humor and causing screenwriter Bud Lewis to disown the movie. However, some of the original comedic elements still remained in the film, resulting in a movie with severe tone whiplash, sometimes within the same scene. Oh well, the filmmakers could always go the Tommy Wiseau route and say this movie was intended as a black comedy. In this case, that would actually be true. And I already compared R.O.T.O.R to a video game character, so might as well have him beat up some random enemies from a Final Fight game. While trying to escape, Sony gets some help from 80s Judah Friedlander here. Unfortunately for him, R.O.T.O.R is more of a Jeff Foxworthy fan. And why the hell does he have so much trouble trying to grab her? Sony is really lucky so many random strangers are willing to defend her from a cop. I know she's innocent, but for all these guys know, they're stopping a police officer from apprehending a wanted criminal. Sony manages to remember R.O.T.O.R's horn kryptonite weakness long enough for Cold Iron to get there, only for her to immediately forget it again once he tries to help. Good thing Cold Iron distracts R.O.T.O.R with a Pez dispenser long enough for her to get away. Now I know what you're thinking. The rest of this movie can't possibly be R.O.T.O.R chasing this one woman for speeding, can it? Yep, that's pretty much the rest of the movie. Cold Iron tells Sony that she needs to keep driving over 50 miles per hour, or else the movie will end before they get to 90 minutes. Oh, and he makes another call.
I'd like to make a call to Houston.
Tell them we have a problem. Okay, actually he makes a call to, Mother Russia from Kick-Ass 2? Come on, Cold Iron. You mean you knew a female bodybuilder assassin this whole time and you didn't call her till now? Bad cowboy, policeman, scientist, whatever you are. This is another scientist who worked on the R.O.T.O.R project with Cold Iron named Dr. Steele, because I guess all scientists in Texas are named after metals. Meanwhile, R.O.T.O.R may be single-minded in his pursuit of criminals, but he also believes in proper bike maintenance. That actually didn't hurt R.O.T.O.R's ears, he just really hates that song. Oh, and remember when I mentioned tone issues earlier?
On the battlefield highways of the future, he'll be the judge, jury, and executioner. Now I've got to wonder, were we playing God, breathing life into our artificial Adam, or have we lost sight of paradise?
Okay, fellas, considering just a couple scenes ago we had this... I wouldn't bother trying to get philosophical if I were you. Alright, I'm gonna go get a pump in before we leave. I know we're short on time, but I am not skipping a day. Hopefully these two have a plan.
To combat pure will, you'll have to use pure illogic.
What do you mean?
You will have to allow yourself to fail. Use your failure against him.
I agree. You should let R.O.T.O.R shoot you in the face and kill you. It might be the only way of stopping him. Cold Iron tells Sony to meet them at a specific location, but how is she gonna get rid of R.O.T.O.R? Huh. Okay, that was easy. Just kidding, he's fine. And listen, R.O.T.O.R, at this point just mail her a speeding ticket. That's gotta be easier. Well, there's still more than 10 minutes left. Guess we need more filler.
Here's the story. The girl, Sonia Guerin, somehow got in his way.
Damn it, Cold Iron, you're already telling us the story. You don't need to recap it again. Oh, I'm sorry, where was I?
Is it his?
It ain't Pee Wee Herman's.
Yeah, but just wait until R.O.T.O.R finds out what he did in that theater. The word of the day is gonna be execution. Cold Iron and Steel manage to get to R.O.T.O.R before he kills Sony, and if you're not sure about your fight choreography, just have your climactic fight scene in the background. I'm sure nobody'll notice. Quick, better offer him more Pez. Oh, damn it, I knew I shouldn't have installed a smart-ass program. You know, considering all the similarities to the Terminator, Cold Iron should have just told Sony to meet him by a hydraulic press. But I guess practicing your knots will work too. Well, looks like R.O.T.O.R just killed Steel, but at least she discovered R.O.T.O.R's full of lime dish detergent before she died. And wasn't there some weakness he had? Oh, right. I probably should have remembered that before he killed your friend there. Oh well, my bad. And are they really gonna stop R.O.T.O.R by hog-tying him to death?
The robot's electric discharge is going to detonate the primer cord!
Eh, whatever. Any excuse for an explosion, I guess. Well, looks like your killer robot story checks out, Cold Iron. Guess you're free to go. As an apology, we'll fix your shirt and replace you with a stand-in and... what the hell?
Justice served. C.O.D.
Okay, I guess Cold Iron's boss just straight up guns him down in broad daylight. I think this guy might be the real Terminator of the movie. After his death, Cold Iron's research is passed on to his nephew, who continues his work, and I guess Bodybuilder Lady is the new R.O.T.O.R? Okay, too bad there wasn't a sequel where she battles the main character from Nemesis 2. Well, that's R.O.T.O.R, so is it worthy of being considered a best-worst type movie? Kind of. There's definitely a lot of cheesy stuff to have fun with here, but like I said, there's also a ton of boring filler. To me, the most entertaining kind of so bad they're good movies are ones with lots of things going on in them, and personally, I wouldn't put this movie above something like Challenge of the Tiger in the enjoyable bad movie scale. Still, if you want to invite some friends over and crack a few beers, this one's good for a few laughs. I gotta admit though, mentioning that Robocop Terminator crossover at the beginning kinda makes me wish there was a R.O.T.O.R Lady Terminator movie. I mean, they're having everybody else fight on screen nowadays, why can't they make that happen? Well, that's all for now. Until next time.
Cause like I said, once you go red, you never get out of bed.